Hey guys, we are back here at day 2, Church Boys Racing, and we have a lot going on behind us, as you can see. So we are going to kind of walk you guys through what has already been going on this morning and our entire game plan for today. So where do we want to start?
Well, right in front of us we have the engine that you guys brought to us. We're getting it prepped for the TKX 5-speed. We're going to put the bell housing on. We're going to index it, make sure it's perfect, not out of round. We want everything to be perfect. Once that's established, we're going to put that engine down in the car. We're going to put the TKX transmission on that, and then we are also going to fabricate the transmission tunnel. There needs to be some modifications to make that all clear, so we'll have that all happening. We're putting the other rear end in, getting that situated, and by the end of the day we're going to have an engine, a transmission, and rear end. It's going to be a rolling car again.
Yes, and right now we have the interior out because all the welding is happening under the car, and the rear end, that was something that wasn't planned, but we did decide on, so that's super exciting, and you guys will be able to see that go in, so very much look forward to it. So right now I mentioned that the interior is out because there is some welding happening under the car, which is connecting the subframe connectors and working on those. So can you explain to us why somebody would want this upgrade and what it does?
Yes, so what we're going to do, these are unibody cars. There's not a full frame under here. The frame stops underneath your feet inside the car. So we're going to connect the front of the frame to the rear chassis. We have these boxes laser cut, fit them up to the frame rail. We capture the whole entire frame rail. We weld 1 5/8" tubing from here all the way back to the leaf spring pocket for leaf spring cars, 4-link cars, which this will be someday. We go to the 4-link. We connect here. We connect to your seat brace right underneath your seat. And then we also take what we call an outrigger. It's another tube that comes over and connects to the rocker. So we're connecting in 4 different places underneath the car. This keeps the car from twisting, bending, and having all the cracks. A lot of these cars you'll see in the A-pillar that run down alongside the windshield, there's cracks. And that's because the body is flexing. This will stop a lot of that flex.
So since this is day 2, we wanted to go ahead and walk you guys through what we accomplished on day 1, just to give you a little recap and showcase this beautiful front end.
Quite the transformation.
Yes.
So we removed all the factory suspension, everything that holds everything on the car, steering box, drag link, pitman arms, tie rod ends, removed the spindles, upper control arms, lower control arms, the factory shock system, sway bar, everything comes out. We added Malwood disc brakes to fit the wheels, brings the wheels back in. We discussed that, how the old brake kit pushed things out. Our Malwood brake kit brings things back in. Got the power rack and pinion in place, 1 1/8" sway bar. We have our tubular lower control arms, tubular upper control arms, and of course the double adjustable Viking coilover shocks. We can set that ride height right where it needs to be.
So we had a lot go on in day 1, which you guys can go back and watch that video, but we expect day 2 to just be as fun as day 1, so stick around.
There's no retakes on this.
So today has been quite the day so far. As with any project, you're going to run into things here and there. So there has been a lot of moving parts, especially when you are dealing with Novas, which is what is such a blessing about being here, is that we have such knowledgeable people and you are learning so much, and these cars are just very unique and characteristic. So not only have we learned things with the rear end change that we're doing and running into different scenarios, but we also had a few different snags that we ran into in terms of things that I had brought with me. So we are actually going to be taking a trip to Summit Racing. Chuck got us set up with all of his connections and all of his buddies, so they are going to get us set straight, and we are going to not only get to visit Summit Racing, but we are also going to be taking this beautiful ride. So that is a beautiful thing about being here in Ohio, is that Summit Racing is only like 30 to 40 minutes away from the shop. So I love it. I'm so excited. last time I was at Summit, I realized that they had a scratch and dent section. I don't know how I didn't know about that beforehand, but it is definitely such a cool area to check out if you ever come here, because you can get some insanely good discounts. So in the meantime, while we're waiting on a few other things, I'm gonna be in this area, probably getting stuff I don't need. So what you guys saw in there, Ryan was measuring to make sure that this one was correct, since we did figure out that it was a manufacturing issue. There were a few different brands with the same manufacturer that had the same issue. So once we found one with the correct measurement, we snagged that one, and I went ahead, purchased this. I didn't find anything in the scratch and dent that I necessarily really wanted to grab, so I'm gonna go ahead, drop this in the wagon, and we'll head back in, because he still has a few more things that he has to pick up, but this is heavy, so I'm gonna put this away. All right, so we just got back from our little Summit trip, and I have not seen anything that they've been working on, so we're gonna go ahead and get a full update, and I'm very excited to see what they got done today.
The car is like all of them, not the same on each side.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about them.
Cool.
Yeah.
1960 something.
Yeah.
But just, you know, when you look at the view from the front of the car and seeing through, you actually see a frame or substance. You know? So the idea behind the connecting to the rockers is obviously to connect to the outside of the body, connect our frame rails, but then at the same time, this is where your transmission mounts. So, you know, you get the tunnel that's cut out, you got all that there. Your transmission cross member goes here, connects. So that's where we chose to, I mean, we could have went anywhere, come out to here. It's 1 5/8" diameter tubing. It's heavy wall tubing, VOM. And none of the other manufacturers on the market where you buy a subframe connector kit, none of them have anything to allow it to connect to your floor brace. This is the brace right underneath your driver's seat. So we connect right here, so you know it's supported in the middle. Rockers, you come out here to your leaf spring, and then again we have the option for the 4-link when it's mounted. This would be a straight tube right to the 4-link. These are now jacking points. You know, you can use that, you can use this, and this little, you've seen how beat up that frame rail was originally.
Yeah,
it was compromised. Jacking it up, putting it up on there.
I had to beat it up back into a close shape so we could get these on properly,
That is crazy.
because it was so tweaked out from people jacking it, and they don't know any better, and they jack it up and don't look, and the car goes up.
So if you look at this portion of the frame, this is where it's spot welded to the floor pan. This is all original. See how that's compromised, that's coming down. All your other manufacturers give you a 3-inch stub that you connect to that factory frame, and that's all. And some of them bolt on, believe it or not.
Yeah, you said
They
it
don't
wasn't
even. Yeah,
welded.
not all of them will weld, and they just mount right there to the very last end of this frame. There's not much strength there, and that's where we capture that whole frame ring.
And in terms of strength and safety and performance, you were also mentioning that a lot of cars, even, you know, after 64, their metal starts to all look a little bit different, and like the strength and the durability car to car changes. So it really is just setting you up for success with whatever year you have or whichever model. So it's super awesome. Love it. Good morning. I'm just turning it off for a short second. We heard that the bottom end is painted
Bottom
to
of the car
match.
is painted, the rear axle is painted, so everything underneath is clean and painted.
Okay.
Jeff is taking out the old heating box.
Okay.
We took the heating hoses out because we're going to install part of the Vintage Air this morning, because it's easier to do it when the engine's not in there. So we're going to get everything mounted in the car,
Okay.
at least on the interior side,
Okay.
and then we'll put the engine and transmission in.
So you're doing the Vintage Air on the inside.
Yeah, because the bolts come through the firewall.
Okay.
So without the engine in the way, it's a lot easier to get to some of the bolts.
Perfect.
So there's your old air heating box.
Super
Factory
dusty.
stuff.
More wall art.
More wall art. We got the bell housing centered. You have to have that centered on the crankshaft because the run out has to be less than 5/1000ths of an inch. So you can see some measurements there. It was off. Basically, it's 31 thousandths. It was 31 thousandths too low.
Okay.
So we got some offset dowel pins that move the bell housing up 14 thousandths, which gets it within that 5/1000ths range.
Okay.
And that's
And
because
this was set up yesterday.
yeah, we set up
Working
the
on
depth
this.
on the throwout bearing. So that's all. There's supposed to be between 100 and 200 thousandths of an air gap between the face of this throwout bearing and your clutch fingers. So we're at 120.
Okay. So they said that they're installing the internal part of the Vintage Air.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we can lift the car.
We can lift it up.
To show a little
So
bit.
we'll leave him in there. We'll lift it up. We'll go have our brunch. We'll come back and see if he's
No
not-
ladder.
Yeah, that's right. We actually did that to my dad one time. You remember that?
Oh my god.
I think we're bleeding. Was it Matt's car? We was bleeding the brakes. Matt's over Asians. He was up in there. He was the bleeder, and we had him up on the lift, and we took the ladder, and we all left out of the garage.
Nothing but the security cameras to rewatch the footage.
Well, that's a really long drop for him.
Yeah, he needed a parachute. G.I. Joe ones that throw it and jump. Column is installed. Rack is connected to the double D shafts. So in our kit, we supply the customer with both double D joints, Borgeson joints there, and the double D shaft to go between that. That's all part of our kit.
Okay. So, looking at it, and I could be wrong, so you can correct me, but it does look like some more has been cut out where the transmission is going. Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely. In order to put the TKX transmission in here, we have to cut out a portion of the tunnel in order to get the pinion angles correct. So your engine angle is actually at a 3.5 degrees. If you put that transmission up there and go until it hits the tunnel, your engine's going to be hanging down too far. So in order to make all the geometry correct, we have to actually cut out a portion of that tunnel.
And the wrong pinion angle is what people run into when they just bolt it up instead of making the proper clearance for the actual new transmission to go in. Because something that I learned is that Novas actually have one of the smallest transmission tunnels on them. So whenever you're going to have a higher horsepower setup or put in a bigger transmission, a lot of people want to cut corners and they want to bolt it up, but they're always going to run into issues. Even if you don't think that you are. So that's why it's so important to make the proper clearance and the proper cutouts.
Exactly.
So this is going to be day 3 on my Nova project, and today's goal is to set up the Vintage Air on the inside, drop the engine and transmission in, and kind of get it set up and placed so there won't be this big open hole here anymore. So since we are planning on dropping the engine and the transmission in, we are going to be protecting the fenders with some plastic. But before that happens, I'm going to be using the Church Boys Racing Quickshine Detailer, because not only is it going to clean off the fenders and all of the smudge marks and the dirt before we put the plastic on, but it also has ceramic protection, which obviously is just an added bonus. So we're going to spritz it on. Get all of the dirt and any smudge marks off, and then you're going to take your clean rag and then you're going to buff it in. Not to confuse the two, this is going to be your buffing rag. You're just gonna work that in there for good protection, cleaning it up, getting it all nice and prepped before anything else goes on it. Perfect. Now on to the rest of the car. So, we talked about this earlier, but you are currently finding a spot to install the reservoir for the new hydraulic clutch.
True.
So, why did you decide on that spot, and do you think that it was a good thing?
Main reason, it needs to be higher than the cylinder inside the car.
So do we have the
Yes,
actual clutch?
I can get
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
There it is.
Because you explained it to me perfectly earlier. I was like, that would be awesome.
So this is
show people.
the cylinder that operates your hydraulic clutch. Our reservoir needs to be above this level to feed it properly and to work properly. So I've learned through trial and error, it can't be too low and it won't work. So on the Novas, I found a place that's higher than the line of this cylinder, which is similar to your brake cylinder, master cylinder, as far as elevation. So when we mount your reservoir here, low enough for hood clearance, but high enough to provide your clutch with
For it to be
proper-
higher.
Mhm.
Yeah. And were you talking earlier? I didn't quite catch what you said. Is there something that's not factory that's been done to this car?
On the interior side, there's American Auto Wire brand of wiring in there. They attach their wiring beside this. That's what I noticed on the inside. There's still some factory wiring remaining on this car.
So is that something that a lot of people would run into, or is that just specific to this car?
No, typically if your car's been untouched or you haven't rewired, this will be in this place.
Okay, perfect. Good to know. Okay, so the engine is angled all the way down, and we took the throwout bearing off to put it in separately and then try to get them to fit, but it's still not quite going, so we're taking off the shifter to get it up and in there, and then that will get placed back on. So everybody's taking lunch right now, and I don't think I've ever been this grateful to make sure that I have an amazing team around me, because I seriously could not imagine modifying or doing anything to this car specifically without having such knowledgeable people around, because these cars are just so specific with the space that they have available, which is why they specialize in these cars and why they're the best at what they do. Because right now what we're running into is I do have a transmission that has been modified specifically for everything on this car, and it still doesn't fit. Not only do Novas vary from year to year and even in the same year, because obviously things weren't as precise back in the day with, you know, them pumping out cars, everything kind of changes. So even though they've done cutting that they normally do on Novas to get the transmission to fit, there still is so many clearance issues, and I just could not imagine somebody trying to do this at home without 8 people on the car and without a lift and doing it for the first time, because we have tried so many different cross members. We have tried the one that came with the transmission. We tried a small block engine cross member from somebody else. So our amazing fabricator Teddy has said that he is thinking about shaving part of this so that the cross member that came with my transmission does fit, which is such a blessing. But it is just, I think this is the biggest issue and something that is kind of upsetting, because you do invest so much time and money into picking out your parts, especially when it comes to anything that is your engine or your transmission, and especially when you're told that something will work and then you literally have an entire team of people around you that are so incredibly knowledgeable and do this every single day and have for years, and they're still having this much issue. Like, it kind of feels defeating, but I'm so glad that I'm here. I'm so glad that I'm getting to experience this process, and the next transmission that I put in any other car is probably going to feel like butter. It's probably going to go so smoothly, so it's kind of nice that this is my first experience and where I'm learning, because it really will just make everything else flow and go so smoothly. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. We think we're going to have to change a little bit of where the cross member fits, and we'll see if that works. But I'm having a blast. I'm so happy to be here. I'm truly honored to be able to experience just working around them and learning from them, but it is a little bit disheartening, especially running into so many different issues. It has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that we are here. It just has to do with the parts that I did get before I planned on coming here. So today's goal was to get the engine dropped in, transmission in, and we have accomplished both of those things, and we also have the drive shaft in. So I would say today was very successful. However, I am extremely grateful that we were here, because I was surrounded by so many professionals that not only do this on a daily basis, but they have so much knowledge and talent when they are combined together that it really just made the process smooth. However, I could not have imagined working on this or doing this on my own without complete expertise around me. So I feel very grateful to be here and very blown away with the fact that you guys are so specific and you are so on it and you can make anything work for these cars. So how do you feel about today and what we accomplished?
I think it was a big accomplishment. We started out with a big hole right up in here.
Yes,
and you know, as far as dropping the engine in and doing that kind of stuff, that's anybody can do that. The TKX install is a little bit different. You have to be accustomed to what's going to be needed, what kind of clearances are needed, driveline angles, and that kind of thing. So that's where the difficulty comes in, and nice that you guys were here, that we could help out with that, make sure everything was right.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see it firsthand. Before I even decided to officially bring my car here and we talked about it, you had given me a little bit of information and knowledge to decide on, you know, if I was going to fully dive into this project. And just hearing about, you know, specifics and clearances and everything you have to look out for, immediately I was like, yeah, I'm going to bring it here, because I don't understand any of that. So it is just absolutely mind-boggling to see it firsthand and see how, even with you guys doing it all the time, being around it forever, how different each car can be. And the fact that you guys just take the information that you get with each individual car, and it literally becomes a custom experience having your car here, because no two Novas are the same, and that's what makes them so special, but also even accentuates your guys' talent and the knowledge that you have around these cars.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it.
So yeah, I would say today is a huge success. Everybody is very happy. I'm very pleased with how everything came together, and I very much look forward to Monday when we install the headers and the exhaust. So that's it. We are completely wrapped up on day 3 of this project. If you guys are absolutely loving the content or want to see more from Church Boys or more content on this car, make sure you subscribe and like and comment down below. Let me know what you guys want to see. Let me know what you think about the project or what you're most excited for or looking forward to on this channel.
So I walked through the aisle, saw it, thought about it, put it down, walked back to get it, gone.
Yeah.
Then I found.
It was like 2 minutes.
I'll still buy it.
Well, you know what? I used to make so much money off of scratching that thing because I'd go in there once a week. I'd buy all the cool stuff that I knew I could flip on eBay.
Yeah, and
I'd
resell
flip
it
on eBay.
When he was, yeah,
I might
at
do
some
this.
things.
There's days when everything's half off. So it's marked down already, and then they mark it down like another 25%, so it's like 50% off.
On like Mondays or something? Like you got a lot of stuff.
Intake for the truck.
UPS. Guess how much I paid for that? $200 more.
$50.
$50.
People know that we're not lying. I never knew they have a scratch and dent section until the first time I went there, and I was like, this is like thrifting heavy.
Side above the wiring block. So I need you to hold it like rolled up, and this one on this side. Keep your finger on it while I put the nut and washer on it from the other side.
Okay.
So I don't push it. So that position, you're just gonna have to stay there for a couple minutes.
Okay.
Washer started.
Yeah.
Then as it tightens up, it'll pull everything more square, and this will come away from this lip, and you'll be able to access it properly. So just keep it like that, finger on there. Yeah, it can be out, just pointed down like that. Yep, just like that. Thank you. This hole is to the bottom of this well. We try not to penetrate that from this side or that side because it could be a potential leak.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's just below it, and I needed a big washer. That's what you have to do. Make them sometimes.
Handy dandy fabrication. Good thing you didn't lose the custom washer.
Need to do that quick.
Hold on just 1 second. Okay, got it.
How's it feel?
It looks perfect. It looks like it.
No
Probably-
wiggles?
Nope. I think the lid will come out like perfect clearance.
Yeah, just enough to get this off, and you probably don't have to do this much. Put the rubber gasket on it, makes it tight. This should only be, what was it, 3/4 full is all they say, or 1/3 full? I have to look at the instructions again. It doesn't get filled all the way to the top.
3/4.
3/4? That doesn't sound like a rubber washer, does it? Sounds like aluminum to aluminum.
It's some grease.
That's what I was thinking. Grease it! Oh, there's one up in there. Okay. So you look at that just like you would look at your brake reservoir. It's the same fluid.
Yeah.